And welcome back to What If. There won't be a who would win today simply because I could theoretically do it in time, but honestly, I need to sleep and rest a bit. I felt a little. I've been running on empty today, so I need a little bit of R&R sleep before I do another video besides this one. I did this What If because it's a one shot What If. But okay, who gave me the Mega? It's Mega Mac 007, I believe. It's either Mega Mac or Mega Mech. 007 asked the question, what if Aunt Petunia, essentially Petunia Evans, but what if Aunt Petunia had actually been a wizard in Harry Potter? It wasn't a muggle, but had wizard blood. And we learned that wizards and normal people actually do have some genetic differences between them. There is some minor differences. So what if she had been a wizard? There would have been some significant differences. She would not have felt anywhere near the resentment of her sister, Harry's mom, as she had originally. There's no guarantee, for instance, though, if she maybe would have become Harry's mom or something like that. So I'm not going to go that route or anything like that. But she would have more than likely gone to Hogwarts because her sister went to Hogwarts, so they were in the same area to go to that school. And most likely both would have gone to Hogwarts. In terms of her proficiency as a wizard, or in this case a witch, it's near impossible to say. We know she has at least some level of the magic and knowledge of the magic community. She's a very kind of prissy, prudish, uptight woman. So I imagine she would kind of be like a Doris Umbridge kind of character, but not quite in that regard. I think her and her sister having something in common would at least keep them relatively close together in some fashion. I think she would be a competent wizard, or witch in this case. Yeah, I think she would be a competent, which definitely I don't think she'd be anything amazing. She'd probably be something on par with her sister. Her sister wasn't a prodigy either. Harry's mom was not a prodigy. So I do believe that they would be relatively equal. In terms of who, like later on, like getting Dudley and Mr. Dursley, I'll be honest. I don't think you'll see that. I mean, they have a distinct dislike of magic throughout the majority of the series. Dudley does come around near the end, at least to reconcile with Harry. I don't know about Mr. Dursley or even Aunt Petunia near the end, but so assuming she does get married, I would imagine she would probably marry someone in the magic community or someone who would be more of an open-minded individual, muggle-wise, to the magic community. Because after all, the thing about the magic community is like, yes, we have our own money system. It's like, look, we got what was it, galleons and the gold, the silver, the bronze. But you don't understand. But you live in the modern world still. Yeah, you have magic, but you live in the modern world still. So why don't you understand the concept of modern money? I don't get that. Anyway, it's simple math too. That's the thing too. You have numbers. We see numbers. There's mathematics involved in magic. So it's like, Hagrid, you're not understanding the money system. It's written on the It's written on the bill. That was some writing that I don't think quite holds up. Regardless, I think that even though she would be a witch and probably a competent witch, I think she'd still probably honestly live within the Muggle community. I think she'd probably just prefer doing that. But she would. But here's the thing: once the incident with Harry happens, with his parents, and they gets dropped off with his aunt and her husband, whoever they may be, we'll say that for the sake of sake, we'll say it's someone else named Dursley. And maybe they do, and they probably also have a child. We'll also name Dudley. We will not name, for the sake of sake, they're going to be the same actors, let's say, portraying them, but they aren't. You're gonna see a different family component. I imagine Mr. Dursley would not be so just nasty and mean and more or less abusive to Harry. That's what they would be. That family was abusive to Harry. Let's not mince words on that. But they would definitely be a bit more level. They still would probably be a little on the whole situation and having to take Harry in. However, I you're not going to see the same scenario. He's not going to be living under the stairs. He's not going to essentially be a slave. He's not going to have to take shit. He's not going to get abused, basically. So he's going to probably have his own room. It might not be the biggest room, but he'll have his own room. They will, I would imagine that Dursley might not treat him quite like their own, because I do imagine some of that personality is still in Petunia, where she is a bit, she could be a little snarky or something like that. But because she was a wizard, or is a wizard, because she has lived in the magic community, because she didn't resent her sister in the same way as she did initially. I do believe there'd be some actual familial love that goes on in that. I do believe there would be some legitimate relationship there. Maybe not the strongest bond or relationship, but I mean, I think honestly, Petunia still had a actual caring nature towards Harry. I think she did care about him. I think on some level they all did. It's not like they despised Harry. It's just they were very close-minded individuals. This version of the Dursleys would not be. So they would raise him. They would also let him know, it's like, no, it's like, you're going to be raised among us, but understand that all this, once stuff actually starts happening, she would probably immediately just say, like, look, look, you want to know the truth about your parents. This is the truth about your parents. Your sister and I, my sister, your mother and I, didn't always get along, but when she got her letters and stuff like that, and we went to school together, we kind of started to bond a little bit more, and I finally understood her on some level, and we actually had. So when she died, it was very tragic, all that. So Harry would know about magic early on, so that would cause a very much bigger difference. Also, Dudley, I believe, is around the same age as Harry, or he's a little older. I can't remember, honestly. Is he roughly around the same? I mean, he's roughly in the same age, but is he older, younger, or the same age? I think he's about the same age. So honestly, another big difference would be Dudley would probably actually be going to Hogwarts too. Because again, he would definitely not be as such a spoiled brat, I imagine. Because the person she marries, while we're naming them Dursley, is not the same character as Mr. Dursley. So they would not just give in to his whims and just spoil him rotten. I think he might be a little, but they're at that age where kids are always bratty around that age. Well, not always, but once you get to that age, they can be bratty. So I imagine he would still have his moments. Harry probably have his little moments too, but they're kids. That's the way it is. So eventually, when the owls come for them, instead of Dursley just tearing them up and continually moving away, they would just, okay, well, I guess we live in a Muggle community, but that doesn't mean I don't have at least some savings in Gringotts for you guys. So we'll head over to Diagon Alley and all that stuff. Diagon Alley, and then now the question is, what happens with that? Well, Harry still gets his wand. That stays the same. Gets all his supplies. Does he get Hedwig? See, Hagrid got him Hedwig as a gift. Now, you're allowed to get a cat. I believe it's a cat, toad, a rat, or an owl, I believe. Or is it a cat, rat, or an owl? I don't think that's mandatory either, because we actually don't see a lot of young wizards having pets like that. Ron had a rat, but we understand why he had a rat. It was a hand-me-down rat and things along those lines, because that's kind of just how it is. Hell, he got a hand-me-down wand. Which I'm like, that does not make sense. I get that the Weasleys were not the most wealthiest, but seriously, a hand-me-down wand? That's not how that should work, I believe. Pretty sure he got a hand-me-down one. I know most of his stuff were just hand-me-down, which saves some money. So anyway, you'd get to that. You don't. Here's the big thing on that though. I think Harry would be raised to have have that more common wizard phobia of Voldemort because he grew up not knowing anything about this. So when Hagrid introduces him to who Voldemort is slash was, Harry has never had any reason to be afraid of this guy, and he has no reason to be afraid of the name. Really, there's no reason to be afraid of the name. But because of being raised in a house that does have magic involved with it, because she lost her sister to this guy, because of the reputation of the wizarding world, I do believe Harry would be like anyone else who has an issue with saying the word Voldemort. I think that would be the case. I mean, Harry's overall personality is still going to be the same, I'd imagine, but there's going to be little idiosyncrasies that change, such as him being afraid of saying the word Voldemort, because that's just how he was raised in his household. Um, so ultimately, yeah. So that being said, he'll still meet Ron. I think him and Dudley will. I mean, again, Dudley is nowhere near as bratty as he was in this original one, if bratty at all. Sorry, Raiders of the Lost Ark songs where Indy's putting on the Nazi uniform. It's too small. So ultimately, yeah, they'll meet Ron, they'll meet Hermione. I think they'll actually have a solid four-way group there. I think that would definitely be the case. So I mean, and then throughout the rest of the Harry Potter series, not a great deal's going to change, except Harry, I think, will be a bit better, more proficient of a magic user, just because he's been raised in a household and has experienced magic, so he'd have a slightly better understanding of the capabilities of it. So I think he would be slightly more inclined to be a more competent wizard, but ultimately that wouldn't change anything. The only thing that really changed now is that Dudley is at Hogwarts. So with Dudley at Hogwarts, does that change any of the major events that go on in any of the books? I mean, going through them, anything in the Sorcerer's Stone. I wouldn't think so. I mean, yeah, he gets some more gifts at Christmas because he's actually got a bit of a family. And actually, you know what? I do have to change that. He does have a family he can go home to Christmas to now. Go home for Christmas now, too. So him and Dudley would go home for Christmas. So that does change things up a bit. Granted, I still believe he fully gets the invisibility cloak sent to him by Dumbledore. I do believe that. And then they'll be like, "Oh my God, wow, can I try it? Yeah, sure." And then, they're cool with trying out the invisibility cloak. So there is that. I can't remember what else happened during the Christmas season where during that stint. I don't think a lot happened. I know like one or two other things happened. Oh, you know what? He went into the forbidden section in the library. And yeah, he frankly and so that might happen later on. So that's not going to change. Dudley's probably going to be a bit more. Dudley's probably going to be somewhere between Harry and Ron in terms of cowardness. Ron was not super cowardly, but he certainly was a bit cowardly to start out with. I think Dudley, because he'd been raised with Harry and trusts Harry a bit more implicitly than Ron does, would probably be willing to go a bit more along with what Harry's does, but he would also still be relatively cowardly when it comes to super serious scenarios like going into the forest or going to stop Voldemort. Ultimately, though, no, nothing else changes in the Sorcerer's Stone. In Chamber of Secrets, I mean, Dobby would be an issue, but difference is Harry can basically tell his aunt what's going on with like this house elf just show because he probably knows about house elves because he has the general knowledge of the magic community at this point. So he tells his aunt like, yeah, I'll tell you, there's a house elf here, and he just was messing things up. It's like what? So yeah, he's not going to get the bars. Doesn't have to be broken out to go back to Hogwarts. He'll just go back to Hogwarts. They won't have the issue with the Whomping Willow, so Mr. Weasley's car is fine. I'm trying to remember what else happens. Would Dudley be on the Quidditch team, I wonder? Unfortunately, no. I don't see Dudley as despite the fact Dudley is not as much of a dick in this one, I don't see him as a very proficient athlete. Ooh, could we see a scenario where Dudley gets axed off by the basilisk, though? I mean, it's possible. For the sake of things, I will say that he'll end up petrified, not dead. I do believe that. So ultimately, Dudley doesn't add a huge deal onto that. Then Prisoner of Azkaban. Again, nothing serious. Except this time. See, here's a good scenario: is that when their aunt or whatever, that woman, that relative comes over and starts belittling the parents, or belittling the what was, I can't remember. Was that? Let me find that out real quick. Whose role was that? Prisoner of Azkaban. Prisoner. Because if it was Uncle Dursley, or Uncle Dursley, yeah, technically it's his uncle. If it was Mr. Dursley's relative, then we're not going to be seeing her in this scenario. If it's her relative, then we could still see her in the scenario. When Aunt Marge, okay, is Aunt Marge Uncle Dursley's a sister? I'm guessing it is. Yeah, I'm guessing that is his sister. So that means we would not see Aunt Marge. So once again, nothing strange happens. He and Dudley go back again. We get Lupin, who I think is one of the cooler Defense against Dark Art teachers, along with Mad Eye Mooney, who was not Mad Eye Mooney. I mean, you'll have the Dementors. They'll probably scare the crap out of Dudley. I don't see a great deal else happening. By the way, I do think Perry probably would get Hagwig. And just to be fair, Dudley maybe gets a cat. And surprisingly, they're like friends. They're chummy friends. So then we deal with what was it? Peeves? What was that? What was his name? Peter Pettigrew. That was it. Peter Pettigrew shows back up. Snape's like, ah. And then woo, and then werewolf, woo. Nothing serious happens. With the fourth book, Goblet of Fire, which is actually personally one of my favorite books. The third and the fourth are, I think, my two favorite of the three, or of the seven. Although, admittedly, I never actually read the Deathly Hallows. I read the first 5, and I saw the last 2, and I saw all the movies, including Fantastic Beasts, and I never read the 8th book. Yeah, I can't think of much that would change, in all honesty, in Goblet of Fire. If anything, Harry would just be a little bit more proficient with certain spells. That's about it. Yeah, that's literally about it. That's all. Again, I fully imagine being integrated in a magical family would allow him a slightly better grasp of the concept of magic, and therefore would be easier for him to use in everyday life, and just slight better learning. So the 5th book. See, the question also comes to what is to become of Sirius Black, because he is his godfather, but he's also wanted. That's the thing. That would be the real catch, wouldn't it? Is that he is wanted for? He would be wanted. He'd be a wanted man. He's always a wanted man in that series. Now, would he show himself to Petunia? And then maybe they have a reconciliation and things along those lines. That one I didn't think about until, because I had to remember the Sirius is part of this as well. That's a good question. That's a damn good question. Would Sirius actually talk to Petunia? Maybe would Petunia have the knowledge that Sirius, who was a family friend, and more likely she would know Sirius. Hell, you know what? Honestly, there could have been a scenario where they might have been an item before the mishap happened with him and going to Azkaban. So there's that strong possibility right there. And because of that, you know what? Because she had interaction, because she probably knew him, I imagine, yes. I think there would be times where he'd be just honestly stopping over there for dinner and just saying hi, talking with them, family friend now. It's good to see them back again. There's probably a little flirtation just between the two of them. Because it's like, oh, back in the day when we were young. So yeah, I would believe Sirius and Petunia would know each other, which would mean it would be heartbreaking not just for Harry, but for her when he does end up dying in the fifth book. I do believe that would be tough on both of them. Should note that damn Dolores Umbridge, man, that one was a freaking talk about someone you just want to throw to centaurs and hope that the mythology of centaurs holds true, if you know what I mean. That's not nice. That's not nice. Hello, Mr. Daddy Longlegs. There's just a Daddy Longlegs just walking here. He's just chillaxing. Trying to think if anything else in the fifth book changes besides the reactions. You don't know. She looks so comfortable right now. Let me see if I can show you. Hold on. Anyway, I'm trying to remember everything. I'm trying to just go through my head everything that happened in the fifth and sixth and seventh book. The sixth and seventh book, I'm more iffy on, just because I didn't actually read those. I watched the movies for them. I honestly don't think a great deal of difference happens in the fifth book. It wasn't until the sixth book that shit really started to hit the fan. For instance, and then the seventh book, where shit really started to hit the fan, where people were really starting to bite it. I don't imagine much happens in the fifth. The sixth one, that's because that's where Dumbledore dies. And Cerberus goes rogue, even though he's pretty much a triple agent, more or less. Yeah, I can't say anything really what really starts to happen is once they get into the Deathly Hallows. Because Harry's gone rogue. I'm sure Aunt Petunia is just worried sick about him, or just deeply worried. Everyone's, Dudley's just going to school, but now, Snape's the headmaster, but, everyone turns on Snape's eventually. And then when the actual battle, Wizarding War happens, Petunia herself would also be thrown into the fray. And remember that Molly Weasley, despite that nice, warm, homecoming mom feel she has as Ron's mom, was badass enough to kill Helena Bonham Carter's character. I can't remember her name, but that crazy Death Eater girl. She was powerful enough to kill her. So there's no mistake that Petunia, if she were enraged, would be like if she saw Harry being attacked or thought he was dead, would go on a killing spree as a maternal wizard. That would kind of be awesome. Just see her just ripping wizards apart with spells. That would be kind of sick to watch in some ways. Ultimately, though, yeah, there's all cut, and then Dudley, I do believe, is still around, because really not many kids after Goblet of Fire died. In fact, you only had Cedric Diggory died. Obviously, Moaning Myrtle was already dead. Yeah, you don't get many other kids dying in the movie in the book series. Now that I think about it, and I can't speak for the eighth book because I haven't read the eighth book. I know the general plot outline of the eighth book. There's time travel involved, trying to stop the events, and things go awry. But ultimately, yeah, that's what I think would happen if she was in fact a wizard/witch. I think we would definitely get some interesting changes. And yeah, because of the book, there's nothing that changes the fact that Harry ends up with Molly Weasley. Not Molly Weasley, Ginny Weasley. Then Ginny Potter. If you watch the movies, hell, if you read the book, really, there's no real reason he kind of wound up attracted to her and going to her. And yeah, it made more sense that he would be that he should have ended up with Hermione. That honestly just made more sense. So even J.K. Rowling even said, from at least the way that the movies portrayed it, that made more sense. It actually made more sense why they should have been together. So yeah, not certain why they just did. Maybe they just felt it was too obvious, because really, when you really look at it, her and Ron relationship does not work. it does not work. He's lazy. He's forgetful. He kind of just is a mess up. And it's clear that while there's an attraction, it's not really something that's sustainable. Whereas Harry with her, there was a lot more mutual respect. I think they just were more compatible mentally and relationship wise. Um, I think they spent honestly just more time together. So ultimately, and they had more like intimate moments together, not like making everything up, but more like moments of vulnerability together. So ultimately, yeah, I think it's yeah, Harry and her just made more sense together. So I don't know. That is what it is. Anyway, that's my thoughts on that. What if? Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, subscribe. As always, want us to review something, put in the comments below. Let us know. We'll get to a review of it at some point. If you have ideas for who would win, Star Wars, Super Magic, What If, anything to do on the channel, put that in the comments below, and we'll get to it at some point. I'll just do 2 who would wins tomorrow just to make up for it. Anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. And it's the same. Oh, I should know the death battle comes out. We'll watch a sneak peek of the death battle on Screw Attack. You can watch it. It's on YouTube. They're going 3D and it's looking good. It's looking good. I'm like, my money's still on Optimus right now. My money's still going on Optimus. Real quick note, I got a lot of people get on my kids like, do you even know, you idiot? It's just like the Gundam is like this much bigger than Optimus and stuff. It's like, look, I don't watch Gundam. I never liked Gundam. Shocker. There it is. I'm out in the open. I was never a fan of Gundam Wing, Gundam whatever it was. I never really liked Mobile Suit Gundam. I never liked those shows. I don't even like the original Transformers or even the remade done Transformers, even though I thought that was a little better. The only thing Transformers wise I even grew up on as a TV show was Beast Wars. So, and I did love Beast Wars. But so yeah, it's like back off a little bit, all right? It's just, first off, it's just an opinion. And second off, I didn't get something right. Okay, why do you gotta get so venomly angry about things? Granted, they weren't getting that angry, though. People were like, he's an idiot and stuff like that. I was like, okay. I think someone even called me a retard. I'm like, yeah, that's a little harsh, don't you think, for getting size wrong? So maybe you need to rethink your life a little bit and say, is there something going on that I should be this obsessive over something? Just saying. And other people say, I get comments. I'm one of those people who doesn't really respond to the comments in the comment. Like if someone gives me a bad comment, I'll just let it slide or whatever. I can't appease everyone. If I'm gonna ever call out a comment or reference something someone said, I'll do it on a video, like at the end, just as like, oh, by the way, one thing kind of thing. That's when I'll call someone out for just basically a negative comment. I got a couple negative comments on the Magic video I did, but you know what? I'm actually not gonna harsh on anyone but the 2 guys who commented on it, because you know what? It's not the kind of Magic. I don't have the images of the cards there. And you know what? Honestly, quality-wise, I probably should have just redone the video. It probably was the best quality video I've done in that case. So you know what? I can't get on anyone's case for that. I can't. But anyway, I digress. Thanks for watching. I'll see you tomorrow. Whoop. And let's try that again. Later.